If you naturally have the letter M formed in the palm of your hand, please don't ignore this. What you're about to see in this video is not speculation, not a coincidence, and certainly not just an anatomical detail. In different spiritual traditions, and especially in ancient prophecies, this sign has been interpreted as a powerful spiritual marker, reserved for people with an extraordinary mission. But what makes this even more unsettling is that Baba Vanga, the mystical seer from the Balkans who predicted several world events, left a specific warning for those who carry this mark. And this message was forgotten for years, until now. If you have this mark on your hand, your soul may be here for a much greater reason than you've been told. This video will reveal the mysteries behind the M, Baba Vanga's warning, and the signs that you are not an ordinary person. You might not believe it right away. But after hearing what's in this video, it will be hard to ever look at that mark the same way again. And if you know someone with an M on their hand, pay even closer attention. If this message has already stirred something in you, hit like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell, because what comes next may change the way you understand your very existence. And leave a comment below. I carry the mark, and I'm ready to remember. That phrase activates more than you can imagine. You may have gone your whole life without giving it importance, but there's something on your hand that might explain everything. Between the lines of time, life, and the heart, some people carry a rare sign, a natural formation that draws the letter M on the palm. It's not a coincidence. It's not by chance. And if you have this mark, you need to pay close attention, because it could be a silent reminder of a pact your soul made long before you were born. Many ignore it. They think it's just another line. But there are ancient spiritual teachings that speak of signs on the physical body as markings of the soul. And the M is one of them. It doesn't show up on just anyone, and when it does, it's usually on people who possess an unusual sensitivity, a sharp intuition, and a destiny that involves something greater than simply living a normal life. This mark appears on those who came with a purpose. And when you start to feel like there's something strange inside you, a restlessness, a calling, it's because the time to remember is approaching. In this video, you'll discover 5 clear signs that your soul has already tried to wake you up. Signs that don't appear by chance, and when ignored, tend to return even stronger. And here's a direct warning. If you identify with one or more of these signs, the chances that you're part of this calling are real. Maybe you're just starting to remember what you've always known. Those who carry this mark may have felt different from a young age. They didn't fit in, thought more than they spoke, felt more than they could explain. On the outside, they might have looked like a regular person. But inside, there was always a strange force pulling them towards something that had no name yet. That force is the soul's memory. And the M mark is the physical reminder that your journey didn't start here. If you have this mark on your hand, or know someone who does, watch this video until the end. Because maybe what you'll hear isn't new to your mind, but an echo of what your soul has always known. And when the signs begin to make sense, you'll understand. It's not coincidence. It's recognition. From early on, there was something different about you. Not something you could see in the mirror, but something you felt deep inside. A kind of silent disconnection. Even surrounded by people in lively, familiar places, you felt alone. Not lonely, but separate. Like there was an invisible glass between you and the rest of the world. You listened, observed, smiled, but inside, you felt you didn't fully belong to that place, that conversation, that rhythm. And the most unsettling part, you never knew why. While everyone else seemed to naturally accept life as it is, you questioned it. You found it strange how people just went along with things, how they repeated patterns, how they distracted themselves with empty things. From an early age, maybe you preferred silence to crowds, depth over surface, the invisible over the obvious. This is one of the strongest signs of a marked soul, awakened consciousness in a sleeping world. Those born with a spiritual calling don't fit in because they weren't born to repeat what already exists, but to remember what's been forgotten. And over time, that feeling may have turned into pain. You may have tried to force yourself into spaces that weren't made for you. You molded yourself, shrank yourself, stayed quiet to be accepted. But deep down, something in you resisted. A restlessness that never left you in peace. It's as if your soul knew from the beginning that it wasn't meant to blend in. It was meant to stand out. And that's not ego. It's mission. The difference that isolates you is also the key that can open something much greater if you have the courage to stop running from it. Many who carry the M mark and that constant feeling of not belonging end up spending years trying to be normal. But what's normal for the world is often a prison for the soul, and maybe everything you've labeled as weakness until now is actually your greatest strength. Feeling too much, perceiving too much, observing too much, that's spiritual sensitivity. And the more you try to fit in, the more you distance yourself from your essence. The discomfort isn't a flaw. It's your soul's silent push saying, this isn't your place. If you read all of this and felt like it was written about you, then stop hiding. You weren't made to fit in. You were made to remember. And if you've spent your life thinking something was wrong with you, maybe the only mistake was trying to adapt to a world that isn't ready for what you carry. That feeling of being out of place isn't weakness, isn't failure. It's code. It's your spirit reminding you that you came from somewhere else, with a mission that no one but you can fulfill. From the very beginning, you noticed there was something strange in how you absorbed the world. While others came and went through places lightly, you carried something with you, as if that environment had left an impression on your soul. Sometimes it was a beautiful place with heavy energy. Other times it was an ordinary conversation that, for some reason, left you feeling tired, anxious, or even sad. And the most confusing part, no one else seemed to notice what you were feeling. You looked around and everything seemed normal, but inside you, something was off. Over time, it started happening more often. You'd walk into meetings and feel the atmosphere before anyone spoke. You'd meet someone new and just know, without any clear reason, that something was off about them. It was all in the look, the silence, what wasn't said. But when you talked about it, no one took you seriously. They said it was just your imagination, that you were being paranoid or too sensitive. And then came the big conflict. You felt what others couldn't, and were judged for it. Slowly, you began to keep it to yourself, but the energy never stopped hitting you. This is one of the strongest signs of a marked soul. When you're born with open sensitivity, your body functions like a living antenna. It picks up vibrations, emotions, intentions. It doesn't matter if someone's smiling at you. If their energy is off, you'll feel it. And more than just feeling it, you carry it with you. It's as if something sticks to you without permission. And no matter how much you try to shake it off, it takes time to leave. In some cases, it lasts all day. In others, you sleep and wake up with that strange feeling. That wasn't even yours. And what many people don't understand is that it's exhausting. A kind of exhaustion that defies physical explanation. You might be healthy, have a calm routine, sleep enough, and still feel like your energy has been drained. That's because you're carrying the emotional weight of others without knowing how to filter it. You walk into a crowded place, leave completely drained. You're around someone negative, and you feel like you've been beaten. Sometimes you don't even need to hear the person's story. You feel what they feel, even if they don't say a word. And that's not your imagination. It's spiritual sensitivity. And when you don't learn how to care for it, you pay the price in your body, your emotions, your soul. Most people who carry this mark spend years thinking there's something wrong with them. They force themselves to endure heavy places, feel guilty for pulling away, silence themselves to keep the peace. But eventually, the body starts sending signals. Anxiety rises, exhaustion intensifies, sleep changes, immunity drops, because what you're feeling isn't being respected. And when the soul is ignored, it starts speaking through the body, not to punish you, but to warn you. You can't keep overloading yourself with everything that doesn't belong to you. This sensitivity that many call weakness is actually an ancient spiritual gift. You don't feel all of this by chance. Your soul carries this openness because it came for something greater. It came to be a channel, a bridge, a guide, a healer. But before you can heal anyone, you need to heal yourself. And that begins with respect. Stop forcing yourself to be in places that drain you. Stop trying to please those who hurt you. Stop pretending that you don't feel what you feel. Because the truth is, feeling too much isn't the problem. The problem is continuing to pretend that you are just like everyone else. If this touched you, if you read all of this with the feeling of, "That's me," then perhaps it's time to accept that yes, you are different. And there is nothing wrong with that. A marked soul wasn't made to live lightly all the time. It came to transform. But every transformation starts from within. And if what you feel has been ignored for years, this is the moment to start listening. Because those who feel too much also carry more light than you can imagine. Some days you wake up feeling fine, and out of nowhere you feel an anguish whose origin you can't pinpoint. A deep sadness that seems to have no reason, yet grips your chest as if it carries an entire history behind it. At other times, a sudden joy overtakes you over something small, a song, a gesture, a memory, and all of this affects you more than it seems to affect others. While the world operates on autopilot with its heart, you feel everything as if it's on full blast. You don't just experience emotions, you dive into them. This intensity is a sign that your soul isn't numbed. While most people learn to repress, disguise, or hide what they feel, you simply can't. You might try, but your body betrays you. Your eyes speak. Your silence screams. You feel the world with your whole body. The pains hit harder. The joys last longer. The losses cut deeply. Loves leave their mark, and memories remain. Nothing is light when you feel so deeply. And the hardest part is living in a world that trivializes feelings. That calls what is merely sensitivity and exaggeration. That labels as weakness what is, in reality, a rare spiritual openness. Have you ever blamed yourself for crying over small things? Ever thought you were wrong for getting emotional over details, for suffering over someone who didn't even show that much for you? Know this: it isn't excess. It's depth. And only those who feel deeply have access to what the superficial world will never understand. Often, those who carry this intense emotional mark end up closing themselves off. To protect themselves, you learn to hold back, to swallow your emotions, to pretend that everything's all right. But that builds up. The body absorbs what the heart can't express. The soul becomes suffocated by everything it cannot release. And then, come the blockages, physical pain, anxiety crises, inexplicable distancing. Because when you don't allow yourself to truly feel, life starts to tighten its grip so that you stop pretending. A marked soul feels more because it came to understand more. Your heart is like a bridge between realms. It translates things that the human mind can't grasp. It perceives what was lost in words, what went unsaid, what was repressed in past lives. And this sensitivity, when properly understood, transforms into a rare power. The ability to heal another simply by feeling with them. But before that, you must heal yourself. Accept that you don't feel too much. You feel what is necessary, and you feel what is real. This emotional intensity also has another side. It connects you. Have you ever been moved by stories that aren't your own? Ever cried over pain you never lived? Ever loved someone so deeply it felt as though you knew them from another life? This happens because the marked soul communicates through feeling. It recognizes before it remembers, and when it finds something familiar, it feels a truth so strong that it's impossible to ignore. And that is part of your gift, but also of your mission. If all of this made sense to you, maybe it's time to stop trying to seem light just to fit into shallow spaces. Your soul wasn't made for containment. It came whole, and as long as you continue to fight against what you feel, you will only live half a life. But when you accept your intensity, everything changes. Because those who feel deeply also see farther. And your sensitivity is the map that will lead you back to yourself. You're in some place, calm, in your own world. Sometimes it's a line, a bus stop, a new environment, and suddenly someone you barely know starts to open up. They share their life, talk about deep things, reveal pains they don't even share with close friends. And you just listen, without really understanding why that person is trusting someone they just met so much. But the most curious thing is that this has happened more than once. And if you think about it, it has been happening for years. It doesn't matter the setting. You always end up being someone's listener, friends, co-workers, even strangers. People turn to you when they're going through something, when they need guidance, or simply when they can't hold in what they feel any longer. And you listen, even when you're tired, even when you don't have all the answers. Because somehow you know how to hold space for another without judgment. And they feel that. This kind of pattern is not a coincidence. It is a clear sign that your soul radiates something that others recognize. Your energy transmits security, warmth, truth, and it has nothing to do with what you say. It's about what you vibrate. Spiritually marked people carry a frequency that touches others effortlessly. Just by being present, you already transmit calm, strength, and depth. And even if you don't realize it, the world around you feels it. But along with this gift of listening comes a weight. Because often you absorb these stories, they stay in your head. You carry them home, you feel them in your body. And you don't always have someone with whom to share. You are always listening, but almost never being heard. Always being strong for others, but fragile inside. Always being the support, yet wondering, and who holds my pain? This is one of the greatest challenges of the soul that came to guide. Learning to take care of oneself while caring for others. At some point in your life, perhaps you felt used, as if people only sought you out when they needed something. As if you were just an available shoulder, but not a heart that was acknowledged. But what you may not have realized is that this constant seeking is not exploitation. It's recognition. The other, even if unconsciously, senses that you have a different kind of light, a rare ability to listen, a vibration that heals. And that's why they get close, even without knowing how to explain it. People like this don't need to be formal leaders. They lead by presence. They inspire with their gaze, with their silence, with the way they listen. They don't force, preach, or impose. They simply are. And because of that, they attract. They attract the wounded, the lost, those who need a clear mirror. And that mirror, more often than not, is you. But to continue reflecting others, you also need to look at yourself, to respect yourself, to recharge. If you felt that this sign describes your life, then maybe it's time to stop asking yourself, why me? And start accepting that this ability to embrace others is part of your mission, but now with more awareness, with more balance, because those who carry the mark of guidance also need to learn how to guide themselves. And sometimes it begins with the simple act of realizing you're not an accident in people's lives, you are a reminder. You look around and even see people going about their routines naturally. They work, study, travel, make plans. But inside you, there has always been a strange feeling, a kind of unease that follows you in the quietest moments. It's as if something is incomplete, not outside, but within. And no matter how hard you try to ignore it, that feeling returns. An inner voice that says, you're not here just to survive. You came for something greater. This feeling has no shape, no name. Sometimes it appears as anguish, other times as a desire to change everything, even without knowing what comes next. It can appear during moments of success, when everything should be okay, but it isn't. You achieve something, and you feel emptiness. You live what many long for, but inside there is a lack of purpose, a lack of direction, a lack of why. And that lack isn't superficial. It's the silent call of your soul. Those who carry this mark feel that they are here for a reason, but the world around doesn't always cooperate. You try to talk about it, and they call you a dreamer, scatterbrained, confused. But what others don't understand is that it's not about wanting more. It's about feeling that all of this is still not enough. Because you don't just want to exist. You want to feel like you are fulfilling something that only you could accomplish. And that is the hardest part. When the calling is strong, but the path is still unclear. You feel that there is something you must fulfill, but you don't know where or how or with whom. And outwardly, you continue living. But inwardly, it's as if you're waiting for something that never comes. A mission, a turning point, a confirmation that what you feel makes sense. And when that doesn't come, the body grows tired. The soul screams. The heart loses its rhythm. What few realize is that this waiting is part of the process. The soul doesn't give everything at once. It prepares in silence. It molds itself in the voids. It strengthens amid doubts. And it is precisely in those moments when everything seems meaningless that it is working the hardest. If you feel this deep restlessness, this unnamed something more, that in itself is a sign that you remember, even if subconsciously, that you have a mission. Many people go through life without ever feeling this. They live on autopilot, without questioning. But you don't. You can't ignore this calling. And even if you still don't know what to do with it, the very fact that you feel already proves that there is something in you that is awakening. This is just the beginning, because a mission never comes from outside. It begins when you accept that there is something greater calling you inward. So, if you read all of this and felt that this feeling is yours, don't try to silence the calling any longer. Don't try to fit in where your soul doesn't belong. You are not lost. You are in transition. and those who feel they came for something greater are already closer to remembering than you imagine. Have you ever had the feeling of living the same story more than once? With different people, different places, different phases, but the same feeling at the end? Relationships that end in similar ways, professional cycles that leave you with the same frustration, decisions that always land you at the same starting point. No matter how much everything changes on the outside, inside, it seems as if you're trapped in an invisible loop. And this repetition isn't a coincidence, it's a sign. What you call repetition, the universe calls a lesson. The soul works with learning. And if something is still repeating in your life, it's because the essence of that experience hasn't yet been understood. It returns in another form, with another color, under another name. But the content is the same. You might try to run away, move to another city, start over. But the cycle doesn't end when you distance yourself. It ends when you understand. These patterns come with pain, with weight, with frustration. Sometimes you ask yourself, how did I fall into this again? And you judge yourself, feel weak, feel like you failed. But what you may have never realized is that this repetition is actually the greatest sign that your soul is trying to teach you something deep. It's not punishing you, it's preparing you. So that this time you choose differently. So that this time you respond with awareness. Spiritually marked people go through this often, and they feel like they're going in circles, when in truth, they're being shaped in a spiral. Each round brings a new chance, a more mature perspective, a little more strength. And there comes a moment when the cycle breaks, and when that happens, life starts flowing in a way you've never experienced before. But that turning point only comes when you stop blaming the world out there and start looking within. When you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this trying to show me? That simple shift in question opens portals of transformation, because everything that repeats is asking for resolution. It's asking for evolution. If you identified with this pattern of repetition, know this. It's not bad luck, not punishment, not weakness. It's code, it's path. It's an invitation from your soul to step out of autopilot and choose with presence. Because when the lesson is learned, the cycle ends, and the next chapter can finally begin. If you saw yourself in these signs, if you felt like each word cut through you with a truth you've never been able to explain, then pause, breathe, feel. Because this video didn't reach you by chance. None of these words were random. Maybe you don't even know how you ended up here. Maybe you were searching for something else. But if you stayed this long, it's because your soul recognized something in this path. And if, on top of all this, you have the letter M drawn on the palm of your hand, then it's time to understand. You are not ordinary. You carry something the world doesn't yet see, but that is about to awaken. This mark is more than a physical detail. It's an ancient symbol, a spiritual signature that spans generations. It appears only on those who chose a different path, more intense, more profound, more risky. Before you were even born, your soul accepted a life of greater awareness, greater sensitivity, greater purpose. You didn't come here for a light life. You came here to transform, and for that, you had to carry visible and invisible marks so that, at the right time, you would begin to remember. That remembrance doesn't come with a manual. It comes with restlessness, with deep emotions, with cycles that repeat until you awaken. You felt you were different. You questioned yourself for feeling too much, for absorbing too much, for not fitting in anywhere. You tried to silence it, tried to adapt, tried to forget. But the more you moved away from yourself, the more life started to press on you. Because those who carry this mark can't live asleep for long, and when the time for activation comes, nothing feels the same anymore. You may have tried to live a normal life. You may have sought stability, approval, inner quiet. But a marked soul doesn't find peace in shallow waters. It only rests when it begins to remember. And this process of remembering is exactly what's happening to you now. These signs weren't scattered randomly. They were waiting for the moment when your awareness would be ready to receive them. And now you are. Maybe still with doubts, maybe still afraid, but ready. Because those who carry this mark know, when they feel, they don't need proof. They need courage. The M mark is not luck. It's not a gift. It's a choice, and every choice carries responsibility. Your soul chose this path for a reason, and if you keep denying, dodging, ignoring, it will keep pushing until you accept. Accept your sensitivity, your calling, your intensity. Accept that you didn't come here just to exist. You came to remember. And when you start remembering, everything changes. What no longer serves begins to fall away. What doesn't vibrate with your truth starts to disappear. Because when the soul awakens, it can no longer be ignored. So if you've made it this far, know that the activation has already begun. And now you have two choices: go back to sleep or keep feeling. Whichever path you choose, the memory is already inside you, and it will keep pulling you sooner or later. Because once you're marked, you're never the same again. And the world needs exactly the version of you that's still hidden. If you stayed until now, it's because something called you strongly. Maybe you didn't understand everything. Maybe you're still trying to process what you felt. But deep down, you know, this was for you. This video didn't come to teach you something you didn't know. It came to remind you of what your soul has always known, but somehow forgot along the way. And now, in the silence of this moment, a part of you is waking up. Everything you've lived through has prepared you for this. The pain, the repeated cycles, the sensitivity no one understood, the times you felt out of place. None of it was in vain. Each stage of your journey was shaping something inside you that is now starting to take form. And even if you don't yet know exactly what to do next, the fact that you are aware already changes everything. Because the soul doesn't need answers, it needs presence. Maybe you're still alone in this awakening. Maybe no one around you understands what you feel. And that's okay. Not everyone will see what you see. Not everyone will feel what you feel. But that shouldn't make you shrink. On the contrary, it only confirms that you're being called to walk a path that isn't common, because neither are you. If this content touched your spirit, hit like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. It's not just about numbers. It's about connection. That way, you'll keep receiving content that doesn't just inform, but activates. Content that speaks to the part of you the world can't see, but that is alive and waking up more each day. And if you know someone who also carries this mark, or who lives in silence with everything said here, share this video. Sometimes, someone's awakening begins with a simple message that arrives at the right time. And if this video reached you, maybe it's your turn to be the sign for someone else. Now comment below, "I remember who I am, and I accept what I carry." This phrase isn't just a comment, it's a seal, a confirmation, a permission you give your soul to keep guiding you.